I'm a sixth-generation descendant of Chief Joseph Osaugie. He was born in 1802 in Michigan and died in 1876 in the city of Superior, reportedly from appendicitis, and was found by his son-in-law and died within a couple of hours. He was the chief of an Ojibwa village located variously on Wisconsin Point and several other sites in Douglas County. And so this is our annual reunion day out at Wisconsin Point.
I'm counting back 6 generations and I get lost after about 2 or 3. We're talking about what's called the Louisiana Purchase happened in that year that he was born. He would have lived through what's called the War of 1812. He would have lived through the Civil War, the American Civil War, and importantly, he lived through some very key times in Anishinaabe relations with the United States, including some significant treaties.
Correct. He was on the Wisconsin Point and in the city of Superior during the 1830s to the 1850s, and he was a signer of the 1854 treaty. It did remove Native people from their lands and move them onto reservations. And our family at the time chose to move to Fond Du Lac Reservation. So that's the point that we left Wisconsin Point and went to the reservations. You had a choice of moving to, I think, Boys Fort, Fond Du Lac, or Bad River. And our family, descendants of Charles Lord, chose Fond Du Lac Reservation.
And thus you have relatives that are enrolled in all those, the chief's descendants have relatives that are enrolled in those somewhat far-flung places.
Yep, we're related to Native people. Well, in the Native community, we say we're all related. But the chief had 3 daughters primarily that married French men. And Charles Lord married Catherine Osaugie, and that's Charles Lord is my great-great-grandfather. There was also the Martineaus are descended from one of the chief's daughters, and also the Lemieux or Lemire family. The Lemieux and Lemire, it's pronounced, different. He married one of the chief's daughters. A Martineau married one of the chief's daughters, and Charles Lord married one of the chief's daughters. And those are the descendants of Chief Osaugie.
Charles Lord, was he the kind of the businessman that was played up in the local media and the press? Is that the marriage I'm thinking of there?
Yep, Charles Lord and Catherine Osaugie was the first recorded marriage in Douglas County. So I think that's very significant. Him and his son, Albert Leo Lord, were the first postmasters in Douglas County. And Albert Leo Lord is my great-grandfather. And then his son, Joseph Lord, is my grandfather. And then his daughter, Beverly Lord, was my mother. That's how I come up with the 6th generation. Not too many people can trace their ancestry back that far. But Charles Lord came to the city of Duluth. He was hired to run the Indian trading post out on Minnesota Point with George Stunt's trading post. And from there, the city of Superior hired him to act as a liaison between the Indians on Wisconsin Point and the citizens of Superior, sort of, let us know when the natives are restless, so to speak, we say. And also his other task was to keep alcohol away from the Indians on Point. Firewater, as they say. Kind of ironic, then, that he fell in love, with the Indian maid, as the story goes, and married Catherine Osaugie, and then our family is still in the area today. Native Trust Land is out in Solon Springs. We have 80 acres of land out there, me and my cousins.
There's just so much depth to this story, and there's so much about the mixing of cultures that even I think I'm just in my own family of these guys that came over from wherever they were coming from, and they just met these beautiful Anishinaabe women and fell in love, and that love resulted in the joining of cultures. Of course, there's been joining through treaty and joining through war, and but one of the ones that I like hearing about is the joining of cultures through love. I don't know why, but it just appeals to me. So,
oh, sure.
You're going to be gathering with your many relatives out on Wisconsin Point. How many people do you expect out there?
We usually have over 100 people. The Descendants of Chief Joseph Osaugie Facebook page has 414 members from all over the United States. Yeah, we're expecting that many. You know, the Fond Du Lac band of Ojibwa is very close to gaining control of Wisconsin Point after it was taken from us in 1918. And that's when the native graves human remains were removed from the point and brought to St. Francis Cemetery. And we're very close to getting that land back. And when we do, that's what we will do, bring those ancestors back to Wisconsin Point. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, took over that property back in 1918, and the first thing they did was, reburied the native people. But we know where the site is. It's become a memorial site, and when we're out there today, we will pray at that site and offer tobacco for the ancestors that held out as long as they could to keep that place.
Mm-hmm. Many people argue that was a grave injustice and also a desecration of those graves.
What would go a long way with us is a formal apology from whom? The city of Superior, the state of Wisconsin, the federal government, for the desecration. When the graves were disrupted, at the time, Indian people predicted terrible things that were going to happen, and right after that, World War I, of course, and then the Great Fire of Cloquet, those kind of things, they predicted would happen because of it. But we do feel a real connection to the land out there, and repatriation would go a long way in making amends to the descendants.